I'm a yoga teacher, and I practice yoga more than 30 years, and I teach yoga more than 20 years, but also I'm a yoga therapist and physiotherapist. And when I start to learning yoga therapy, it changed my understanding of yoga generally, and it changed my practice of yoga in details. After it is like my personal interest in my life to discover yoga from scientific approach. It is very interesting to me to understand what I do. Of course, it can work when you believe in this tradition and you follow it. But for me, it is this kind of mind, yes, it is very important to understand. And I can adapt some techniques for myself because I know that I'm different and a lot of people are different, yes. We can have some diagnoses, diseases that change our mind, and it can be not so easy to use the traditional techniques in traditional way. Sometimes we need to adapt it for us. That's why for me it is like very interesting to discover yoga from this scientific approach. And I want to share my understanding with you. And today we will talk about bandhas and their connection with our autonomic nervous system. You have probably heard and read about bandhas. This term is often translated as lock or dam. And from description, it is clear that it will stop some kind of process or influence, and bandhas techniques are described for straight back sitting positions. It is easy to apply them during the pranayama practice, but it is not clear how to apply them to asanas. And to do this, we must understand how the bandhas work. And in ancient texts, we are often referred on how to work with energies. Bandhas are said to be the instrument to block the flow of these energies. And we can find plenty of associations we are resulting with our autonomic nervous system. Why is that? It is a part of our body regulation and adaptation system that adjusts us for environmental changes and can be consciously controlled. It is divided into two opposite parts, sympathetic and parasympathetic. It can be compared as brakes and gas pedals for our body. And we also call them waste and accumulative systems. Sympathetic is a stress system. It activates our body and it directs blood from internal organs to the muscles, accelerates heart rate, increases blood pressure, expands bronchi, and saturates blood with glucose and fatty acids. All changes designed by sympathetic system in our body are designed for physical activity. Thanks for stress system, humanity has survived as species. The parasympathetic system slows us down and put in the mode of restoration and accumulation. It slows down heart rate, blood vessels expand and blood pressure decreases. Bronchi narrow and blood outflow from muscles to digestive system, making us want to eat and sleep. And after the autonomic nervous system receives the information about our internal body states and external environmental, it adapts us for these changes and it can stimulate in body processes, usually through the sympathetic division, and inhibition them, usually through the parasympathetic division. That's why we can compare sympathetic system with the sun or Pingala channel and parasympathetic system with the moon and Ida channel. And these two systems work in balance. Any disbalance can lead to dysfunction. An autonomic nervous system is connected by a cluster of nerve cells. It's called an autonomic ganglion. Nerve fibers from this ganglia connect with internal organs. Most of the ganglia for sympathetic division are located just outside of spinal cord from both sides of it, and we can activate it, for example, from backbending, because when we backbend our spinal, we can compress these ganglia. The ganglia for the parasympathetic division are located in internal organs or near it, and it is baroreceptors that respond to the pressure. What kind of pressure? It is very interesting because in our body there are 3 cavities in which our internal organs are located. These are chest, abdominal, and skull. And a pressure increase in these cavities can injure our internal organs. But when we work out, making our asanas or do pranayama, we can increase pressure in these cavities. And it can injure our internal organs. But in our body, we have these baroreceptors that connect with parasympathetic system. And this system can create conditions to protect our organs from overload. How it works? For example, when you bend down and lower your head below the pelvis, the blood will rush to the brain, and there is nothing to push it up. And it will increase in pressure, in inner skull pressure, yes? Baroreceptors in the sinocarotid zone can respond to this pressure. And it can activate parasympathetic system. It will slow down the heartbeat. That's why it will be less of blood in the brain when heartbeat slows down, yes? And expand blood vessels to improving the blood outflow to the periphery, to make less of liquid in this organ. Less liquid, less trauma. That's how parasympathetic system can protect our organs. You can imagine a balloon full of water. What will happen if you squeeze it? It will break, yes? But if it's half of full, it will remain intact, no matter how much you squeeze it. And the same situation with our organs. When it's half of full of blood, yes, any kind of pressure can traumatize, can injure this organ. But parasympathetic system can make it half of full, less of blood, because it can improve outflow of blood from blood circulation. And if we can switch this parasympathetic division at that moment, we can help our organs to survive. How we can implement that? Jalandhara Bandha is the key. When you tuck your chin, you tighten your sternocleidomastoid muscle, and it slightly presses the carotid artery, increasing the pressure on the baroreceptor. And if you activate your baroreceptors before you bend, you can, a compensation effect will prevent the negative bending effect. But, for example, of course, you can, sorry, I want to show and to talk. You can do bandha before you bend. You activate your baroreceptors, then you bend. For example, it will be Adha Mukha Svanasana, like here. Do you see? Yes? But position of our shoulders can prevent this work of bandhas, because tension of our muscles can block outflow from the brain. Yes, you activate baroreceptor, it stimulates parasympathetic system to make this outflow, but your upper part of trapezoid, the muscles that attach to the neck, and you can see it, yes, muscles that attach to the neck and to the shoulder blade, this muscle, when in tension, can block outflow from the brain. And it is no matter how much you press your chin, tuck your chin. At that moment, this muscle, upper part of trapezoid, can block this outflow. In that case, this bandha can't work. But we can use it. We can still use it. And position of our shoulders can highly affect the work of this muscle. And now we can understand how. Please raise up your arms and turn your palms outward. Stretch your arms in this position, and now pay attention for all sensations around your shoulders, around your neck. Remember it, and turn your palms to each other. And pay attention to all changes in these sensations. Is it more space when you turn your palms to each other? Is it less of tension? And from this photo, you can see that when you turn your shoulder inward, this position, yes, it can block outflow from the brain. And in asanas, it is, of course, very important to use this bandha, but not only like to tuck your chin. And of course, all yogis do it. For example, if somebody of you practiced Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga, they usually use bandhas in their practice. And they use it like drishti. When you look somewhere in any positions, you change your glazolin. And in Adho Mukha Svanasana, in this school, they look at the button. When you do this, yes, to look at your button, you tuck your chin, you do Jalandhara Bandha. But it is not enough if you rotate your shoulders inward. It doesn't work. That's why we need to understand how to adapt asanas, bandhas to asanas, to continue their work. Yes? And of course, during the training, we can provoke our stress system. Any kind of workout, it is a stress for our body because we waste energy. And when we waste energy, we need this stress system that can help to find this energy, these resources. Yes, but by activating the baroreceptors, we can reduce this stress response and turn on the compensation. And as soon as bandhas show us as a system switch, it is very important to understand how to apply them to asanas when we do not sit straight. And we change our position all the time. And we do bend, extend, twist, or turn over. And let's look, for example, for Asa Bandha. We understood that Jalandhara Bandha can help us with inner skull pressure. Yes? But for example, if we talk about our abdominal cavity, with this pressure can work Muladhara Bandha. And of course, we know that Muladhara Bandha work when we tone our pelvic diaphragm. Yes? But in asanas, it is not enough because this abdominal pressure can depend from pelvis position. And if we imagine that our pelvis and our chest, it is two rings that connect with soft coupling. And we placed these two rings in parallel. You can see now they're in parallel. And it increased pressure there, yes? But when we move them in different directions, it will reduce volume there. That's why in abdominal cavity in that moment, the pressure can increase. And it is important that when we do Muladhara Bandha, it is not only tension of pelvis position, especially if you move and change your position. Yes, it is very important to place your pelvis and chest in parallel. this movement. Now you can see, yes? When you tuck your tailbone and you rotate pelvis in parallel with chest. Is it understandable about Muladhara Bandha? Yes? You create more space in abdominal cavity. That's why it is less of pressure in it. And it is very important to understand how to use it, because in different asanas, we have a lot of tension. When we work out and our abdominal muscles in tone, it increasing pressure in abdominal cavity. That's why if we can create more space in it, we can help to our abdominal organs. But we can see how it can work with our breathing and our chest cavity. Because our chest cavity changes its volume while breathing as ribs and diaphragm moves. And if you inhale, lowering your diaphragm into the peritoneum, in the abdominal cavity, the volume of the chest cavity increases, and its inner skull inner pressure will decreases. That's why the air gets sucked in. But what happened at that moment with abdominal cavity when diaphragm goes down to the peritoneum? This inner pressure will increases and volume will reduce. Yes? And what will happen if we inhale by spreading the ribs? We increase space in chest and increase space in abdominal cavity, both. And we can call it Uddiyana Bandha, of course. We know this like from ancient texts. We know the description about bandhas and Uddiyana Bandha. We can do it only on breath holding, yes. When we exhale, hold our exhalation, yes, and then we spread our ribs. Of course, in that position, we can decrease pressure in both cavities, and we can feel how much it pulls all blood to the heart, to the chest cavity, yes. It helped for all cavities. But in asanas, we can't perform asanas in breathing holding positions, because it is very dangerous for our inner organs. They highly depend from oxygen. But when you work out, your muscles burning this oxygen. That's why if you stop to breathe, it can be very dangerous for your brain, for your heart, for our kidney. It's very important when you work out, when you perform asanas, to continue your breathing. But if you breathe by spreading your ribs, it works like Uddiyana Bandha. That's why, of course, we can use diaphragm breathing like therapy, but separately from asanas. Yes? And for us, very important to understand how to use it. For example, when we want to use Uddiyana Bandha in asanas and we want to spread our ribs outward, something can block this movement. What do you think about it? What can prevent to do Uddiyana Bandha in asanas? In what position it is difficult to breathe in by spreading your ribs? Full stomach, actually, it is a problem for diaphragm breathing. What? That's what about my presentation, how to apply bandhas to asanas. Yes, in ancient text, we can see bandhas only with pranayama. Yes, I know. But what happened? When I mix it, I can help my internal organs, actually. And when I practice asana, I can injure my internal organs. But with bandhas, I can help them. Mm-hmm. And what we talk about from the beginning, if we try to talk about these traditional terms and what we know about yoga from ancient texts, we can look at it from other contemporary side of science. I know, that's why I do this presentation, because I try to look at bandhas from this side. I know that in ancient texts it is no information how to adapt bandhas to asanas, but now I try to do it. I feel a lot of benefits when I start to do it for my body. I feel a lot of benefits. That's why I want to share with you my experience. But of course, I have respectation for your experience. And it is not enough to talk that it is wrong, actually, because I have my experience. For me, it is not enough. I saw from my experience, from my students, how much it can help. It can protect your internal organs. It can protect your joints. It is very helpful. But thank you. Okay, maybe somebody have some other comments to Uddiyana Bandha and asanas. What can prevent us to breathe by spreading your ribs? Okay. Okay. But actually, yes, in back bends, when you make back bend, it is very difficult to spread your ribs outward. And this position with of your pelvis and chest, yes, when you rotate them to different directions, and it reduces volume of abdominal cavity. And it is difficult in this position to breathe and to spread your ribs outward. And you can do it actually if your back bend is not in not so strong. You still can breathe and you still can spread your ribs. Of course, when we practice asanas, we want to go deeper, to make stronger, better position. We try to hold our leg behind our head and to go deeper. But why we injure? It happens always in asanas. We injure ourselves because we want to go deeper. Not step by step when your body allows you to do it. But of course, if you do something that these efforts can't allow you to breathe, why you do it? What for? Yes, and it is like marker for us. You can breathe by spreading your ribs in back bend, but of course, all of us have different level of this back bending when we still can breathe. And if you can't, it means that it is not good for you to do this asana in this way. Maybe you need to make step back. Is it understandable? Yes. And it is very interesting to, yes, to implement this understanding how to use bandhas in asanas. And now maybe we can try to do some asanas to understand how to implement, to apply bandhas to asanas. We start, for example, from Uddiyana Bandha in Adho Mukha Svanasana, yes? And we understood that To do Uddiyana Bandha in this asana, we need rotate our shoulder outward. And it can help to Jalandhara Bandha do its work, yes? But we understood about Uddiyana Bandha, that in this position we need to breathe by spreading our ribs. And it is important to keep one line from your palms to tailbone. If you make back bend in Adho Mukha Svanasana, it can prevent the work of Uddiyana Bandha. You need to breathe, yes? If we talk about Muladhara Bandha, Mula Bandha, how it works in these asanas, how we can tuck our tailbone to rotate pelvis in parallel with chest. We can work with our hips to rotate our hips outward. It engages our gluteus muscles, and it can rotate our pelvis and put everything in one line from palms to tailbone. And in that case, all three bandhas work in these asanas, and it can help us to understand how to protect our organs in these asanas, because it is a forward bend. We below our head, below the pelvis. It is a lot of blood rush to the brain, and we will help our brain, but it still can be a problem for our abdominal organs. And we will think about it, how to protect them, yes? That's why we need to combine all these details, how to work in these asanas. And maybe you want to look at other asana, how to use this knowledge to develop this asana. What asana is interesting for you to describe? Paschimottanasana, it works very, it looks like, it is forward bend. It looks like Adho Mukha Svanasana. Actually, it's deeper bending, yes, but it is the same position. If we talk about position of our arms, of course it is important because we stretch it over our head, and it is very important what is position of shoulder. The same situation, yes, because we need to lower our shoulder blades. When we lower our shoulder blades, we engage our lower and medium part of trapezoid muscles, and they can work like antagonists of upper part of trapezoid that upper lift our shoulder blades. And when we make this movement in Paschimottanasana, when we hold our feet, for example, yes, and lower our shoulder blade to open our neck and then to do our bandha, it can work. If you try to stretch yourself, to use your hands with effort, yes, it doesn't work because it is a lot of tension in your neck. When we talk about how much, for example, a lot of people, yoga people, think that you're good in Paschimottanasana if you can fold it, yes, and it is no matter what happened now with your shoulders. But here it is very important what can happen with your shoulders, what is position of your shoulders, and what happened in your neck in this position. Sorry. Yes. Yes, that's why all other bandhas. Of course, that's why all bandhas very important is this asanas. And that's why all bandhas work in all asanas, and we start from all details. But of course, if we talk about it, we talk about all bandhas and abdominal cavity. It is important too. But actually, for me, it is very important all details. Yes, simple movements can. Thank you. Okay. And if we continue about Paschimottanasana, it is important that, of course, all bandhas will work, not only about the Jalandhara bandha, and we still need to keep this line from tailbone to our top of our head, for example, in this asana, because we need to spread in our ribs when we breathe in, because when we make this tension to fold it, and all our flexors are in tension, it can endure internal pressure in abdominal cavity. That's why it is important to make this compensation, to spread our ribs outward. It can reduce, it can increase volume and decrease pressure there. But maybe other asana, maybe not forward bend, something else, maybe twist or back bend. What kind of asana is interesting for you? Yes, it's twist in position, Ardha Matsyendrasana. I think everybody knows, yes. In any case, it is twist in position. I think any kind of twist can work like it. And for us, it is very important to keep all bandhas. That's why we need to keep this line of our spine. It can protect our spine, yes, and it can protect our organs, because when we twist, we increase pressure abdominal and in chest, not in brain, yes, not skull pressure, but abdominal pressure is increasing mostly in twisting position. But how we can help? If we breathe, and of course, when you twist your body, it of course reduce pressure in abdominal cavity. And if you lowering your diaphragm in the peritoneum at this moment, it is really can increase in pressure there much more. That's why it is important to breathe by spreading your ribs. And it can really help in this asana to improve blood circulation in this cavity. Okay. Looking at the changes that bandhas create in our body, we can assume it's a good tool to body cavity pressure control. And it can help us to protect our internal organs from overload. And it is interesting to discover how we can use it. And I hope it was interesting for you, this lecture. Thank you.